My partner, 30 non-binary, and I, 30-year-old man, have been together for about 10 years now, married about 4. A year or so ago, they came out as non-binary. It was sort of gradual. They started hinting at it, then said they wanted to go by she, they, then said their pronouns were they, them, but I could still call them she, before I eventually asked and confirmed that they would like me to use the non-binary pronouns as well. I am a straight man and don't really have intimacy interest in non-binary individuals, but of course I didn't make any rash decisions about splitting because I love my partner. However, during this recent time, I feel like I have begun to lose attraction to them as I am attracted to women, and they are presenting more gender neutral. When this initially started, they said that they were still the same person and only their pronouns were changing. However, the more I come to terms with them not being a woman, the more I see them as someone who I may not be compatible with. They've even mentioned some things that I am really not a fan of, such as wearing a binder or getting their voice lowered. This one we had an uncomfortable conversation about. Even more recently, they've had some health issues, and it has made me really reevaluate our relationship. They are experiencing female health issues, which has highlighted my partner's gender identity as it comes up more frequently, including their disdain for their feminine parts. As a straight guy, it makes me wince and feel more disconnected from them. Outside of the gender topic, I've also felt like our relationship is a bit unequal. I make good money and pay for almost everything, including rent, vacations, meals out, shared expenses, and medical bills. They work and pay for most groceries, internet, and personal expenses. Despite paying for almost all the expenses, my partner frequently talks about how broke they are to their friends. It frustrates me as I feel like I am providing a very comfortable lifestyle, where they only need to support the bare minimum of their expenses, but their friends may see me as selfish and unsupportive. They explicitly turn down more hours at work and have no interest in finding a higher paying job. I tried deliberately to not pay for everything because I want my partner to be an independent, competent adult. However, I still find myself helping with a lot of their personal challenges while also taking care of everything that's shared. I've paid for all the medical bills, and it makes me feel like I'm keeping our entire life afloat, which is stressful. We've recently discussed buying a house, and I can't help but think I will end up taking the entire mental load of that, other than actually picking a cute place. This is exacerbated by the fact that I work with many professional women who support themselves, and I can't help but wonder what it would be like to not carry almost the entire weight of the relationship. I feel like my partner folds during challenges, and I have to lift them and the situation back up. Just before the health issues began, I found out my partner was in $3,000 worth of debt. The debt came during a time when they were unemployed, but we were still doing fine overall. At the time, they apparently didn't want to ask me for money. Eventually, they set up a payment plan and paid a couple of installments, but didn't check up on it to make sure the payments kept happening. I don't really understand how one could neglect that. $3,000 of debt to them would be like $10,000 to me. Certainly something I would not forget. I paid it off for them, but it highlighted their lack of financial acuity and responsibility. I feel like I have to not only keep tabs on all of my things and our shared things, but their things too. Like I got my license renewed at the same time they did. It took me less than a month after mine expired, while theirs expired half a year before. Also, our fitness activity level has been slowly drifting apart. I began working out in high school and still do. As I've gotten older, I've taken it more seriously because I want to be active and healthy for as long as I can. While my partner is healthier than at the beginning of our relationship, it has been in part because I have constantly tried to urge them to exercise and be more active. Before the health issues, it was starting to be more consistent, but I'm not sure if that would have lasted. I kind of just wish they were as into being active as I was. I don't want to be going for runs and climbing mountains in my 50s while they're just sitting around. I don't want to be the person driving every aspect of our relationship. I want someone that pushes me to be better too. I'm sure this post comes off very negative, but that's kind of why I'm making it. I still love my partner very much and always will, whatever happens in our future. We are good together on a zoomed-in level, but these high-level topics concern me. Overall, I'm not looking for people to tell me to leave or stay. I just want some validation that I'm not having a weird episode and would be throwing away years of history for something inconsequential. If I do decide that this needs to be addressed in our relationship, the first step is going to be counseling before anything drastic happens. Now, for a few comments before the update, I'm not going to touch the gender identity stuff because that is far outside my area of expertise. But finance? That is literally my job. What you described there is enough alone to break up over. I made the mistake of trying to make it work for love once. All that pattern does is turn to resentment, and the relationship is over anyway. If they cannot appreciate the lifestyle you afford them, the lack of anything they have to do, and the work and sacrifices you made to get there that they didn't need to, then they do not and will not respect you. Then throw the debt on top of that. Not wanting to merge lifestyles so that both can at least be somewhat active. I do not think they really care too much about the relationship with you. You've paid for them to sit around, complain, figure themselves out on your dime, and then watch them leave when they meet someone they are more into who can continue to carry their preferred lifestyle. Note that you aren't at that last point yet, but don't throw good money after bad. They need a wake-up call. I don't like ultimatums because if you are at a point in a relationship to give an ultimatum, it is already over in my opinion, but you still need to convey that they need to at least try to support the team. Take as many hours as they can get until 40. Appreciate you more for what you provide instead of taking it for granted. If they make significant changes, there may be a chance to save this. Otherwise, I think deep down, you already know the relationship is over. You don't have a partner, a comrade, an amigo. You have a dependent. That's not what I would want. And I suspect you wouldn't want that either. Really, any of these issues could be grounds for splitting up. Marriage is hard enough without all this added to the mix. You've basically spent all of your adult life together, and it's pretty clear that the two of you are no longer following the same path. I certainly wouldn't be considering buying a house right now. Would you consider marriage counseling? Not all relationships last. Some are meant to burn bright and burn out. It doesn't mean that they weren't beautiful while they lasted. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, a lot has happened since my last post. So, right after I posted, my partner's health issues took a turn for the worse. They had to be hospitalized for a few days, which was really stressful for both of us. I took time off work to be with them, and it was during this time that we had some really deep conversations. One night, while sitting in the hospital room, they opened up about how scared they were about their health and how it was affecting their mental state. They admitted that their disdain for their feminine parts was becoming overwhelming and that they were seriously considering surgery to remove their breasts. This was a huge shock to me, and I didn't know how to react at first. I realized that this was a make or break moment for our relationship. If they went through with the surgery, it would be a permanent change that I wasn't sure I could handle. But at the same time, I couldn't stand the thought of them being unhappy with their body. I decided to support them, but I also told them that we needed to go to counseling to work through these issues together. We started seeing a therapist who specializes in gender identity and relationship issues. The first few sessions were really tough. We both had to confront a lot of uncomfortable truths about our relationship and ourselves. I admitted that I was struggling with their gender identity and that I felt like I was losing the person I fell in love with. They admitted that they felt guilty for putting me in this position and that they were scared I would leave them. During one of the sessions, the therapist asked us to write letters to each other, expressing our deepest fears and hopes for the future. Reading my partner's letter was eye-opening. They wrote about how they felt like they were finally becoming their true self and how much they appreciated my support, even though they knew it was hard for me. They also wrote about their fear of losing me and how they wanted to work together to find a way to make our relationship work. I wrote about my fear of losing the person I fell in love with and my struggle to reconcile my attraction to women with their non-binary identity. I also wrote about how much I loved them and how I wanted to find a way to make our relationship work, even if it meant making some difficult compromises. The therapist helped us see that we both had valid concerns and that we needed to find a way to meet each other halfway. We started working on finding a balance between their need to express their true self and my need to feel attracted to my partner. They agreed to hold off on the surgery for now and to explore other ways to feel more comfortable in their body, like wearing a binder and experimenting with different styles of clothing. I agreed to be more open-minded and to work on seeing them as the person I love rather than focusing on their gender. In the meantime, we also had to deal with the financial issues. I sat down with my partner and we went through their finances together. We set up a budget and a plan to pay off their debt. I also encouraged them to look for a higher paying job or to take on more hours at work. They were resistant at first, but after a few more therapy sessions, they started to see that their financial irresponsibility was putting a strain on our relationship. We also started working on our fitness levels together. I suggested that we find activities that we both enjoy, like hiking and biking, so that we could spend more time together and stay active. They were hesitant at first, but after a few hikes, they started to enjoy it. We even signed up for a 5K race together, which was a big step for them. Throughout all of this, I started to see a different side of my partner. They were more open and vulnerable with me, and I started to feel closer to them. I also started to see that their gender identity didn't change who they were as a person. They were still the same caring, funny, and loving person I fell in love with. One night after a particularly tough therapy session, we were sitting on the couch talking about our future. They told me that they were scared of losing me, but that they were also scared of not being true to themselves. I told them that I was scared too, but that I was willing to work through it because I loved them. We both agreed that we needed to take things one day at a time and to keep communicating with each other. As for the house, we decided to put that on hold for now. We realized that we needed to focus on our relationship and our individual issues before taking on such a big commitment. We also decided to start saving more money and to work on our financial stability before making any big purchases. Looking back, I can see that this past week has been one of the most challenging times in our relationship, but it has also brought us closer together. We still have a lot of work to do, but I feel more hopeful about our future. I know that there will be more tough times ahead, but I also know that we can get through it together. Thanks for reading. Aita for refusing to give my entire savings to my financially irresponsible parents. Last year, I landed an internship and saved up all my earnings to put towards my student loans when I returned to school to do my final year. Ever since I started earning, my parents asked to borrow money from time to time, which I give. I get conflicted lending money sometimes, especially with my dad. I don't have the best relationship with my parents. Growing up, my parents always did things like make fun of my appearance and intelligence, shooting down any interest I had growing up, preventing me from going outside and always pushing me to focus on my academics to one day be a high earner. I always told myself these were just strict immigrant parent tendencies and that it was just part of the culture. My parents have sacrificed so many things so that I can be where I am today. And it's always been a dream of mine to help pay off their massive amount of debt and mortgage. However, they have also done many things like use my credit card without asking. Asked to borrow my phone to make a call, only to use it to take out my long-term investments in stocks, to short trade and lose it all. I can't even be mad about how much I lost. More so that they lied and still try to constantly do these things behind my back, with the reason being to help me, buying me things I never asked for, or trying to help me invest better. And whenever I push back or complain, they lecture me as an ungrateful son who's selfish with money. Now, the only interactions I've had with my dad for the past few years are him pestering me for cash, guilt-tripping me about losing the house, being ungrateful, manipulating me into getting better salary jobs, and to ignore my passion. I'm going insane. I don't feel like their son. I feel like an investment that they've been molding as another source of income. Now, recently, my dad begged me to give him my entire savings so that he can earn interest off the amount to help pay the bills, using a shared account that he promises not to use, and that it would be only under him in name. I don't trust him, but at the same time, it hurts growing up and seeing them grow old and see the physical toll that their jobs have done. Dad is a construction worker. I refused the offer, and now my mom has taken on a waitress job despite having poor body conditions, and they're prepping to sell the house. I feel like a jerk after everything they've done for me, but I can't give myself to lend them any more money. I want to help pay bills, but I don't want my entire life chained to paying off their debts. I want a life of my own. I want to move out and live on my own someday. But with the way my relationship is with my parents, I don't see that happening. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You keep on saying lend. A loan is when you get it back. Sounds like you never get it back. So it isn't lend, it is give. Stop saying lend. It does you a disservice and sugarcoats the truth. Using a shared account that he promises not to use and that it would be only under his name. Well. Give him my entire savings so that he can earn interest off the amount to help pay the bills. To short trade and lose it all. He wants to gamble it on the stock market and will lose it all. Maybe, just maybe, if he stopped gambling on stocks, they wouldn't be in this situation. Just need one big win to pay off all the losses. But I don't want my entire life chained paying off their debts. Yeah, he sucks at managing money. Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Your mom is, don't join her. Comment 2. I would urge you to find a local abuse charity that can support you. Regardless of how you feel about the relationship and whether or not it's an hurtful one, they will be able to direct you to the right support. You need a secure support system right now. Let go of any guilt or concern you may be harboring for your dad and set this boundary for yourself. Get professional help. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, a lot has happened since my last post. 3 months ago, my dad asked me to give him my entire savings, and I refused. Since then, things have gotten even more complicated. My mom did take on that waitress job, and it's been really hard on her. She's been coming home exhausted and in pain, and it breaks my heart to see her like that. My dad, on the other hand, has been more relentless than ever. He keeps bringing up the shared account idea, trying to convince me that it's the only way to save the house. I keep saying no, but it's like he doesn't hear me. A couple of weeks ago, my dad did something that really crossed the line. He took my credit card without asking and maxed it out on some investment opportunity that he swore would pay off big time. When I found out, I was furious. We had a huge fight, and I told him that I couldn't keep doing this. I told him that I needed to focus on my own future and that I couldn't keep bailing them out. He called me selfish and ungrateful, and we haven't spoken much since. Meanwhile, my mom's health has been getting worse. She's been having trouble sleeping and has been in and out of the doctor's office. The stress of the job and the financial situation is really taking a toll on her. I feel so guilty, but I also feel trapped. I want to help her, but I don't want to enable my dad's reckless behavior. Last week, things took another turn. My parents got a notice that the bank is going to foreclose on the house if they don't come up with a significant payment soon. My dad is desperate, and he's been trying to guilt trip me into giving him the money. He even went as far as to say that if they lose the house, it will be my fault. I know that's not true, but it still hurts to hear. In the midst of all this, I've been trying to focus on my internship and my studies. It's been really hard to concentrate with everything going on at home, but I'm doing my best. I've also been thinking a lot about my future and what I want for myself. I know that I can't keep living like this, constantly being pulled into my parents' financial mess. I need to set boundaries, but it's so hard when they keep pushing and pushing. I've also been reflecting on my relationship with my parents and how it's shaped who I am. Growing up, I always felt like I had to be perfect to earn their approval. They were always so critical of me, and I never felt like I was good enough. I think that's why I have such a hard time saying no to them now. I still crave their approval, even though I know that I need to stand up for myself. One thing that has become clear to me is that I need to move out and start living my own life. I can't keep putting my dreams on hold to take care of my parents. But making that decision is easier said than done. I know that if I move out, my parents will see it as a betrayal. They'll say that I'm abandoning them, and I don't know if I can handle that guilt. But I also know that I can't keep living like this. I need to find a way to balance my desire to help my parents with my need to take care of myself. It's a constant struggle, and I don't have all the answers yet. But I'm trying to take it one day at a time and make the best decisions I can. One thing that has helped me is talking to my friends about what's been going on. They've been really supportive and have given me some good advice. They've reminded me that it's okay to set boundaries and that I don't have to sacrifice my own happiness for my parents. It's been really helpful to have that outside perspective. I've also been thinking a lot about my parents' history and how it has influenced their behavior. My dad grew up in a really poor family and had to start working at a young age to help support them. I think that's why he's so obsessed with money and why he's always looking for ways to make a quick buck. My mom, on the other hand, came from a more stable background, but she gave up a lot to be with my dad. I think she feels a lot of guilt and responsibility for their financial situation, and that's why she's willing to work herself to the bone to try to fix it. Understanding their history has helped me to have more compassion for them, but it hasn't made it any easier to deal with the situation. I still feel torn between my desire to help them and my need to take care of myself. It's a constant battle, and I don't know what the right answer is. For now, I'm trying to take things one step at a time. I'm focusing on my internship and my studies, and I'm trying to save up enough money to move out. I know that it's going to be a difficult conversation with my parents, but I need to do what's best for me. I hope that one day they'll understand, but I'm not holding my breath. Thanks for reading. Aita for postponing my wedding. After my fiance's bachelor party meltdown, my fiance, 28 years old, went to a bachelor party for his friend who is getting married next month. This bachelor party was in a remote location in the middle of the woods. The nearest Walmart is around 45 minutes away. During the bachelor party, we would text throughout the whole trip. Nothing seemed unusual. While he was driving back, 5-hour car ride home, we were talking about different plans, like what was for dinner that night and what movie we wanted to watch. Again, nothing unusual. When he came in the door, everything changed. He started saying how we don't have any communication in our relationship, how I am unsupportive of him, and how all of his friends have a solid support system, and I don't bring him any support. He was saying how he wants to call off the wedding. As for some background context, he is working 2 jobs. He is miserable in his 9 and 5. However, he does make great money, which is why he chooses to stay, $100,000. I have advised him multiple times to quit, and the amount of savings we have can keep us afloat for over a year. I have done multiple things for him. I have helped him draft emails to his manager. I have sat with him while he worked, listened to him complain, given him advice on how to leave, or if he chooses to stay, how to be less miserable. I've even applied to jobs for him in roles that he expressed interest in, because he is very tired, and I'm willing to help in any way I can. I understand he is overwhelmed and completely in over his head. He doesn't have a single day off. Monday, Friday, he has his 9, 5, and Saturday, Sunday, a side job he truly enjoys. I am in analytics and enjoy my job. I make less than my fiance, around $80,000, and have more of a flexible work schedule. We both have master's degrees and are on the mortgage. I do take over most of the household responsibilities of cooking and cleaning. The household responsibilities he takes over are his laundry, cutting the grass, and taking the garbage out. All of those happen about once a week. He is saying he needs to think if I am truly the one for him and contemplating the wedding. I am truly so confused because we are overall a happy couple. I do enjoy spending time with him, and I feel like I support him in every way I know how. I am just entirely confused. This has been going on for about a week now, consistently arguing and being told I don't support him. I signed us up for therapy yesterday to get a third party involved because I don't know what to do. My question is, why is this coming completely out of the blue? Am I missing something? Why is he comparing me to his friends' fiancés' wives? Is it common for guys to get jealous of other relationships? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You need to get him to explain exactly what he sees as support from you. Ask him to actually list out a couple of things he thinks shows you supporting him, so you can get a sense of what's going on in his head. If he can't or doesn't want to have this conversation, then be prepared to list all the ways that you feel you are and have been supporting him. Then ask if those things are not enough. You applied to jobs for him. That's way above supporting a partner. While I can understand him doing his side job, he cannot work every day endlessly and not expect burnout. He needs to take some breaks from the side job every once in a while. And you having a job that is more flexible than his could be a bit of jealousy, which manifests as him grabbing onto the no support complaint. After all, you have some free time, and it's not fair that he doesn't. And you'd like your job, and he doesn't. I think there's a lot of misdirection coming from him. Comment 2. Have you asked what he means by you being unsupportive, or specifically what you could be doing to offer him support? Because all of the things you listed are ways you support him through his job. helping him write emails, applying to other jobs, but nothing about being emotionally supportive in other areas. Could that be what he means? It sounds like he was commiserating with his friends at the bachelor party and comparing relationships, and for whatever reason, he feels that his friends' partners are more supportive. If he can't explain why he feels that way, or what should change, then he's just going crazy. Therapy should help. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking with me through this. So, 3 months have passed since that whole ordeal started. After I signed us up for therapy, we went to our first session. It was awkward at first, but the therapist was really good at making us feel comfortable. My fiancé was hesitant, but he eventually opened up. He talked about how he felt like he was drowning in responsibilities and how he thought I didn't understand his struggles. I was shocked because I thought I was doing everything I could to support him. A few weeks into therapy, something unexpected happened. My fiancé's side job, the one he truly enjoys, offered him a full-time position. It was a dream come true for him, but it also meant a significant pay cut. He was torn between staying in his high-paying but miserable 9-to-5 job or taking the job he loved but with less financial security. We had a long discussion about it, and I told him that I would support him no matter what he decided. He eventually took the job, and I could see a weight lift off his shoulders. However, this decision brought its own set of challenges. With the pay cut, we had to tighten our budget. We canceled our gym memberships, started cooking more at home, and cut back on unnecessary expenses. It was tough, but we managed. My fiancé seemed happier, but there were still moments of tension between us. He would sometimes snap at me for no reason, and I felt like I was walking on eggshells. One night, after a particularly heated argument, he broke down and told me about something that happened at the bachelor party. Apparently, one of his friends had a heart-to-heart with him about life and relationships. This friend told him that he needed to prioritize his own happiness, and that if he wasn't happy in our relationship, he needed to reconsider things. This conversation had been weighing on him ever since, and it was the catalyst for his sudden change in behavior. Hearing this was like a punch to the gut. I felt betrayed that he had been influenced by someone else's opinion of our relationship, but it also made me realize that he had been bottling up his feelings for a long time. We talked about it for hours, and I finally understood that he wasn't just comparing me to his friends' partners. He was comparing our entire relationship to an idealized version of what he thought it should be. As we continued therapy, we started to uncover deeper issues. My fiancé admitted that he had always felt pressured to be the provider, and that his self-worth was tied to his job and income. This was something he had never shared with me before. It made me realize that his outbursts and accusations of me not being supportive were more about his own insecurities than anything I was doing wrong. Around this time, I also started to reflect on my own behavior. I realized that I had been so focused on trying to fix his problems that I hadn't been paying attention to my own needs. I had been neglecting my hobbies and interests, and I was starting to feel resentful. I brought this up in therapy, and it led to a breakthrough for both of us. We decided to make more time for ourselves and our individual interests, and it made a huge difference. One of the most significant moments came when my fiancé's friend, the one who had the heart-to-heart with him at the bachelor party, came to visit. I was nervous about meeting him, but it turned out to be a good thing. We all sat down and talked openly about everything. His friend apologized for overstepping and admitted that he didn't know the full extent of our relationship. This conversation helped my fiancé see that he had been projecting his own fears and insecurities onto me. As we continued to work through our issues, we started to rebuild our relationship. We made a conscious effort to communicate better and to be more supportive of each other. My fiancé started to open up more about his feelings, and I made sure to listen without trying to fix everything. We also started to make more time for each other, going on date nights and just enjoying each other's company. One day, while we were cleaning out the garage, we found an old box of letters and mementos from when we first started dating. Going through them brought back a lot of memories and reminded us of why we fell in love in the first place. It was a turning point for us, and it helped us to reconnect on a deeper level. As for the wedding, we decided to postpone it. We both agreed that we needed more time to work on ourselves and our relationship before taking that step. It was a difficult decision, but it felt like the right one. We wanted to make sure that we were both truly ready for marriage, and that we were doing it for the right reasons. In the end, these past 3 months have been pretty hard on us of emotions, but they've also been a period of growth and self-discovery for both of us. We're not perfect, and we still have a lot of work to do, but we're committed to making it work. Thank you for reading and for all the support. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.